most of you are familiar with Nintendo. The Wii U was a pretty big flop. We've got a problem with our sales. Sony is kicking our ass, same with Microsoft, and we need to make a difference. So I'm the head, I'm a liaison to the board of directors. The board of directors, they want me to help find talent within the organization who's going to help develop the next set of consoles and software and hardware. So they want people who they can promote up within the organization to take on these leadership roles. So they've hired us to develop a tool to help them identify these people. So what I need you all to do now as the consulting team is tell me kind of what you're going to do. What's your solution to this problem? How are you going to help me identify the kinds of people I need to hire? When I take this off, I'm now on your consulting team. So I'm your client. How am I going to find these people that I need to promote? Not there? We're assistant dynamicists. What are we going to do? We're going to develop a model. Okay? What kind of interface are we going to develop?
Management flight simulator.
Okay, why would we do a management flight simulator?
Yeah, to put competition between your employees and see who performs better or worse.
Okay, yeah. All right, so we need a management flight simulator. That makes sense. What kinds of concepts do we want to include in this? The board keeps telling me, we need to come out with a new console. They keep mentioning this Switch idea. I guess with my hat off. Do any of you not know much about Nintendo or consoles or games? Okay, so there's three competitors in this market. There's Sony, there's Microsoft, and there's Nintendo. Nintendo's the oldest competitor in this market. Sony is the one who spends lots of money, develops really complicated hardware. They're the most graphically advanced. They have the largest market share. Microsoft develops a console similar to the PlayStation. It's much more of a serious gamer's tool. Not as much money on hardware development. They spend a lot more money on software development. They have much more interesting games. They have a much better subscription service. Nintendo, they play very gamey games. They're meant to be played with the family and little kids, and not 20-year-old overweight teenagers in their parents' basements playing Call of Duty. Call of Duty isn't even on the Wii U. Problem is, the Wii U was a giant flop. Nobody bought it because it stunk. So as a consequence, Nintendo is actually losing money on the Wii U, and they're in a situation where they need to come out with a new piece of hardware to compete within this market. Okay. So where was I? Yeah. So I want to find these these candidates within my company who I can promote into leadership roles. I want them to be able to understand the importance of marketing. I want them to be able to understand, the importance of research and development. I want them to be able to understand pricing theory. So I need a simulation that includes these things. Do you guys know of any market-style models that I might use as a basis for what I'm trying to do? Any word-of-mouth diffusion models? Beginning with the letter B?
Best model.
Yeah. So Bass diffusion model, that might work pretty well for figuring out, how many customers there are out there, and exploring different policies that we might implement to kind of attract some of those customers. So let's think about, in what environment is this game going to be played? So you as consultants would say to me, okay, we need a model, we need an interface, we're going to build a management flight simulator for you, a game, so that we can get your employees competing with each other. When are they going to play this game? Well, we're going to have a corporate retreat. We're going to pull our highest talent, and we're going to take them all to, I don't know, Aruba. We're going to put them on the beach. We're going to feed them a lot of alcohol, and then in the morning we're going to play a game and kind of look at them and grade them. So they have internet connectivity. They'll have computers. They have no idea what system dynamics is or what modeling is. They have a general idea and understanding of what controls we have control over. So then, what kind of decisions do we need to make in this game? What do users need to have control over? What kind of decisions are users making? If you're developing a console, what kind of things are you controlling?
Price. Price.
Price, okay. So let's keep that. I'll develop a note list for us, okay. What else do users need control over?
Customer segment.
So who they're marketing to? What else are...
Could be budget on research and...
Okay, budget for R&D?
Yeah, R&D.
Yeah, shout them out. Be involved. What else are users controlling?
Design for development, new games.
Okay. What about the ability to develop games on the system? So it's not only when you release it, but what's involved with it. It's software, abilities. Can we run, AAA games?
Marketing.
Okay.
Budget for marketing.
What other things do we kind of need to know about?
Production capacities.
Depending on how complex the model could be, also like mergers or acquisitions or or strategic alliances with other companies.
Okay. Yeah.
Hiring people.
Any other things that, we want our young managers to kind of understand? Alrighty. That's not a bad list. That's actually pretty good. Alright, so if you were making decisions on price, on what customer segments you're marketing to, on your budgets, when you're going to release, what kind of marketing you're doing, whether or not you're going to do mergers and acquisitions and hiring and firing, what kind of information do you need to make decisions like that? So these are the inputs into the system. What are some of the outputs?
Sales.
Market share.
Well,
Profits.
profit. Profit growth. Like,
Do we need to know anything about the product that we're releasing? Do we need to know maybe attributes? How well our marketing is doing. We need to know how attractive our product is in the market. What else do we need to know to make decisions about, these decisions that we've decided that the people in our game need to make?
Competitors.
Okay. What do we want to know about competitors? Sorry, I'm deaf.
Their product,
The market.
their position in the market, their strength,
Strategies.
weaknesses, or
All right. let's see. Is there anything else?
Productivity?
Hmm?
Productivity?
Any other concepts we want to know in order to make these decisions about what our price is going to be, what our budgets are going to be, when we're going to release, what our software is capable of doing?
I guess it's
Supplier.
into the metrics that we wanted to see in which of the customer segments you are having more or less profit. Maybe, yeah, should be embedded in the metrics.
Alrighty. Yeah, I think we could actually make most of those decisions with what we've got there. Okay. So I'm going to prod you now for a couple of more decisions.
Well,
Yeah.
distributors in the sense like if one of the decisions is going to be how to market it, you should have some information about what options are available to distribute the product. Like, are you going to sell games online? Are you going to sell it on the store? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Yeah, retailing and distribute. How does the product get from people, from making, from the factory to the people? Okay. What about like the software subscriptions? Xbox Live, and you got to pay for that. So we need to make decisions on monthly software costs. Monthly. Xbox Live. Another revenue stream that we have at Nintendo. Sorry, I couldn't hear. One more time. Sorry, I'm deaf.
Listen, product, supply, compact.
Oh, how much competitors have on the market?
Do we need the demand? Information on the demand that's measured?
All right.
Market research.
Figure out what our targets for our research and development are.
Now, like we have the attractiveness of products of our competitors, but also from us. And then we need the number of products because we have a network product, right?
So these are all the things maybe we like to see in the game. So I'm about to get tough and say, well, at Nintendo, we have no clue about our competitors, productivity. I don't work at Sony. I can't show you that. I have no idea, how many consoles they have sitting in a warehouse. So our managers who are going to be making these decisions can't know that. Yeah, I know what our market share is. I know what our sales are. I know what our profit is. We know what our growth is. Growth is clearly related to all of those concepts. Yeah, we could do some market research and figure out, how our product appeals to customers. Retail and distribution, I'm just going to call out of scope. Don't worry about it. We have a whole team that deals with, selling stuff. Our this board level executives can just kind of assume that there's an outlet for selling these products. There's a way to get them to market. So then that leaves us with our decisions. Okay, so we've got control over price. So by customer segments, I kind of interpret that as who we're marketing towards and who we're crafting this product for. We've got budgets for research and development, so how much we're going to spend on software, on hardware. We've got marketing, and which kind of drives some of this this market share. We've got production capacity. So I'm going to kind of lump that in with retail and distribution. We've got supply chain analysts who are trained with crystal ball And they've spent years going to the Informs conference, and they can deal with supply chain issues. That's out of scope for now. Mergers and acquisitions. We're Nintendo. We're not getting sold. Hiring and firing, that's interesting. I didn't actually include that in this model. I probably should have. And then we have our, our subscription fees. All right, so as a consultant, I've kind of developed a model for you. So let's take a look at what I've built. And so this is that model that was in the zip file that you all got sent by Paul. So we're going to take this model, and because this course isn't really about modeling, we're going to kind of take this as a given. And we're going to build a management flight simulator on top of it. We're going to go through all the steps. We're going to go through the design phase, where we design this inside of the mock-up stool. We'll then take those static mock-ups, and we'll work on turning them into a real-life sim. Okay, so here's our model. I've got 3 modules. I think you all are at least somewhat familiar with the concept of modules. Modules are submodels. They, like views in Benson. And so inside of this, we have our market. And this piece of structure here should be relatively familiar. We've got potential customers which purchase stuff, and they become actual customers. And at some point, our products, they don't last forever. This isn't 1900. We're not building stuff out of, really high-grade steel, and it's going to last a whole century. It lasts, I don't know, 5 years before it eventually breaks. So we need to model that, customers, their stuff breaks, or it becomes obsolete, and they become potential customers again. We're going to make some assumptions about this market. We assume that there are, let's see if I can read this number, 2.5 million customers within our market. I kind of kept North America in my head when I built this, but it doesn't really refer to any particular place. So customers make decisions to purchase based on an indicated market share. So rather than using a Bass diffusion model, where we're explicitly modeling the word of mouth effect, I did something slightly different. I wanted to use a Bass diffusion model initially. But something important that you'll learn as you build models, especially for user interfaces, is you want your models to be set up in equilibrium, meaning the only changes you see in model behavior is a result of user interaction. Because if your model is generating dynamics all of its own, and users are making decisions at the same time, it becomes pretty much impossible to tell what the effect of the user decision is versus what the effect of the dynamics of the model are. So when we run this model, and I'll run it for you in a moment, you'll see that everything is in steady state when I have a certain switch turned on. That way I can prove that the dynamics that come from this model are a result of the decisions that people make. So what I do in this model is I calculate an indicated market share. So I say, based on what the product attractiveness is, so how many of you are familiar with arrays? Are there people who aren't familiar with arrays? Okay.
I know what I read, but I don't know what's the mix, or I haven't.
I'll show you. What's up?
Yeah, I have just a comment to what you said right now before you started on arrays. You said that what we want is for the user to see the consequences of their decisions and not have too much dynamics going on. I think I agree with you there. What's very important though is the following, and that may not be captured by your audience here, but needs to be reflected on. And that is the fact that your decisions are based on your observations of what's going on in the game. So you are, as decision maker, as part of a loop. You are the one that closes the loop. So you're responsible for closing that loop and therefore creating the kind of behavior that is occurring. So don't think that this means that we're cutting out feedback loops. You're actually now creating a feedback loop through the decision makers in that game. And I think that's an important, issue to convey here.
Won't argue with you there. All right, so I was on arrays. So you see these symbols are stacked. It looks like there's 3 stocks here. It looks like there's 3 purchases here. It looks like, So in this model, I used arrays. So arrays are a way of quickly reusing the same piece of structure without having to copy and paste it. So I have, in this model, 3 competitors. I have Nintendo, I have Microsoft, I have Sony. And each of these competitors has 2 products, their current generation console and their next generation console. So what you're seeing here in this customer's stock is actually 6 stocks of customers, because I've arrayed this by company and product. So if we come to the array editor, you'll see that there are 3 companies and 2 products. So 3 times 2 is 6. So in this symbol, there are actually 6 stocks. There's only 1 stock of potential customers. So I could build this also by doing something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and my arm's already tired. 5, 6. Okay, now I gotta go make my 6 stocks to attach these flows to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so here's our potential customers. Here's purchasing, 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 customers, customers, customers. It gets old quick. So as you start developing more complicated models, and not complicated in terms of dynamic complexity, but complicated in terms of detailed complexity, you start building models like this. So I've got here a stock of customers. Here it is. And so you can see here in the equation panel that it's telling me it's customers of company by product. So this equation will be run 6 times. There are 6 possible values for these 2 things. So imagine, okay, the first time we do it, it's going to be Microsoft current generation. So it says potential customers times indicated market share. So indicated market share is also arrayed. So it's going to say indicated market share of Microsoft of current generation, divided by time to perceive product attractiveness, which is non-arrayed, multiplied by obsolescence time, which is arrayed. So this is a statement to put the model in equilibrium. That's why we calculate the number of initial customers. So the first time we run through, it's going to be Microsoft current, Microsoft next, Sony current, Sony next, Nintendo current, Nintendo next. So this equation is run 6 times, once for each combination of these options up here. So that's what an arrayed model is. I'm sure you will build them shortly, right?
Yeah.
That comes up next. All right. So in this model, we calculate an indicated market share based on product attractiveness. So product attractiveness is arrayed by company and product. There is an attractiveness for each of the 6 possible consoles on the market. We calculate the product attractiveness based on a weight. There's another array dimension in this model. I got a little fancy here, which I probably shouldn't have. So I made attribute of each product a dimension. So we have hardware quality, we have software quality, so the ability for people to develop AAA games. You need good hardware. In order to sell subscriptions, to Xbox Live or something like that, where you can make money every month, you need good software. You need servers. You need software engineers who can support them. Marketing controls the desirability of the product. The purchase price, I think that came from the front row, is one of the options that makes the product more or less attractive. And same thing with the subscription price. If I'm going to charge $100 a month for Xbox Live, ain't nobody buying my console. But if I give it away for free, heck yeah. So we take into account all of these things to determine the product attractiveness. So let's work backwards in this model into the policy section. So in the policy section, these variables in yellow, with yellow backgrounds, these are our decisions. These are the variables we have control over. Okay. So we have control over marketing spending. And marketing spending is arrayed here. Marketing spending can be done by any of the three companies on any of their two products. There are 6 market spending variables. We have the console price. You can choose the price of the console. There's 6 of them, 1 for each of the 6 consoles that are modeled in this model. Monthly subscription price, player, hardware, R&D spending. I'll tell you why I called out player like this special. Because normally you would think you would just control the hardware, research and development spending. Player, software.